Well, how could you live in the Sunshine State and not soak up the sun or our beautiful beaches? From Englewood Beach to Lovers Key, beaches are a hangout spot for so many of us to take advantage of. But they weren't always available to everyone. In fact, within just the last 60 years, people with darker skin were only allowed to go on one beach in Southwest Florida. For Black History Month, Wink News anchor Emma Heaton spoke with a woman who grew up going to Bunche Beach and talks about the progress that we have made as a community.
Vivian Watkins was born and raised in Lee County.
My adolescent years grew up on Blake Street and often went out to visit with my grandparents, Louisa and Matt Curtis, that lived in Iona.
She remembers all the good times with her family, her grandparents, mom and dad, aunt and uncle, who in the 1950s worked the concession stand at Bunche Beach.
Often the high school students from Dunbar High School, when they were out of school, they would come there, have fun, and then on the weekend would be there with my aunt and uncle and was able to help out at the concession stand.
But times were different back then.
Through that time, as I was growing up, I did experience and witness the segregation. The Bunche Beach, it was a black beach.
Bunche Beach, the only beach Black people could go to during segregation. It's named after Dr. Ralph Bunche, the first Black American Nobel Peace Prize recipient. Its history honored at the Williams Academy Black History Museum, operated by the Lee County Black History Society. Charles Barnes is chairman.
My father would take us, my father was a police officer here, and so he would take his family out to the beach, and he would always take us to Bunche Beach, where he also worked as a patrolman from time to time, because Black officers could only work in areas where there were Black people.
Charles told me, like Vivian, he and his family couldn't go to Fort Myers Beach, not Sanibel, not Naples, not Marco Island. Bunche Beach was the only option.
How did it make you feel knowing that that's how times were?
I was very inquisitive and asked questions. I could remember going in stores, and my dad would always have to go to the back door. I say, Dad, why do we have to go in the back door? And he would tell me, honey, we are not allowed to go in the front door because of segregation and everything being separate. We're not allowed to. But it made me feel, not in a sense bad, but I knew things would soon change, that it couldn't be that way forever.
Things did change, but not until 1969.
When was it that you were able to go to other beaches? Do you remember what it felt like?
It felt like being inclusive, and there was a little fear. I guess it was the fear of the unknown, because I didn't know how I would be treated by other white children, you know, white people.
How did the people treat each other?
It was, you could tell that there was some kind of friction there, that, you know, it wasn't that they were really grasping and wanting to connect with us. And it was a very slow process.
Today, every beach is open to anyone of any color. But ask Vivian and Barnes to compare where we're at today to before desegregation, their answer, the same.
There's been a lot of progression, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Progress. That we have our history, it's true to its core, but I like to talk about the final results. I can remember, like I said, my father became a police officer, was not allowed to arrest anyone of color, was not allowed to even drive a police car. But I can stand and say that today, in this history, in the 21st century, we've had 2 Black police chiefs. That's progress. That's a long ways from where things were in 1952 and 53.
Progress, but still work to do. Emma Heaton, Wink News.
So much work to do, but it is just so important to remember. It was not that long ago, just 60 years ago.
Right, things have changed, and they needed to change. She said that she could almost feel the change was going to come. But yeah, things are definitely, obviously, a lot better for everyone these days.
But it's also really awesome, though, to speak with people who have been through the history,
Right,
so we
and
can always
saw it
remember.
all happen and lived it. All right.